Yeah. So, the Jyotish now, the astrology, or the astronomy, or the Jyotish, or the life code, or whatever you want to call it, was discovered or invented to stop the karma from the parents. In other words, if you're 9, you have to seek solution now, because that means mother was not unhappy at the time of pregnancy and so on. So if there was no Jyotish, that 9 would destroy this world. You know who was the greatest 9 who destroyed a lot of the world? Al Pacino. You know Al Pacino? The mafia. Yeah, Al Capone. Not Al Pacino, Al Capone. But Al Pacino acted as Al Capone. Right. Al Capone was born on the 27th of September. This is a double 9. Remember, he killed so many people in the United States. In Chicago was mafia boss and so on. So, if there was no religion, 9s will destroy this world. Right? 6s will destroy this world, because 6 would be war and so on. Right? And then, what would happen? Now look what 6 does. 6 becomes policemen, so they protect the world. Right? Or congressmen and so on. So the whole idea now is that we have to have the science of astrology, the science of Jyotish, to prevent the person from experiencing bad luck or bad fortunes. I wish everyone in the world knows this. Only you guys know this. Imagine if you were, when you were young and you knew this is going to happen, you could have changed it. I changed my children and it worked. The moment my child was born, I told my wife what will happen to this child and what she has to do to make this child better. Right? And of course, she did an excellent job, making sure that she followed everything I said, and she made the children the way I wanted. Right? And especially in one of the children, I said to her, I said, if you don't train this child properly to become a vegetarian or thing, this child will bring the family down.
But if the number 9 is vegetarian from childhood, it's going to be
Much better.
more spiritual.
More spiritual. Right? So the path will be much better. But you know, being vegetarian is not all.
No,
The teaching is important. The knowledge. Right. The knowledge is very important. Having the knowledge is what takes you out of, you know, like we said, you pay a doctor for knowledge. You pay a lawyer for knowledge. So knowledge is the key. Right? If you have knowledge, you can overcome all difficulties in your life. So you seek knowledge. That's where Jyotishi comes in. Again, Jyoti means light, Ish means God. God is really you. We always say that. So the light of your God, the light of yourself is Jyotishi. And so that's why we needed the science of Jyotish, which is now life code in your hands. And it's it's not like I'm just making up numbers, but this is part of the science of Jyotish, mathematics. It's called Vedic mathematics, right? So as you can see, astrology is very important. And what we're going to do is, whenever we want to change our life, because remember now, you are going to look back at your birth with your mother. That's where you got your karma. But God, or the priests like me, and the rishis and the sages have installed this method of defeating the negative. In other words, number 1 doesn't have to be lonely. And number 9 doesn't have to suffer. In fact, number 9s have grown to be great teachers and so on, become great gurus. And number 1 are great leaders. Right? And number 6 doesn't have to suffer. They can become very powerful. And I have proved it in my own children. And number 4 doesn't have to work hard and get stressed. They can change that. So that's where mantras, prayers, rituals, and everything comes in. Why? Because again, what mantra controls? The vibrations of the universe. Right? Try cursing somebody and see what happens. How quick a reaction you get. Right? You get a negative reaction. Right? And try telling them you love them. I love you. What? Powerful. Yes. Sometimes we cash in more in the negative than the positive. Right? We're so busy arguing and we're so busy competitive, which is what we've been trained to do in America. We forget to say I love you. And so that's important. So what happens now is mantra is what creates, or words is what create the universe around you and draws the attraction of the planets and so on, the energy of the planets and so on. Mercury controls 20 days of your life, right? Venus controls 23 days of your life. And then you have Mars that controls 45 days of your life. So, and Moon is 30 days. So, you know, when a person comes to see me, and they say, I said to them, okay, you got to do 45 days. He says, Swami, that's too much. Can I do 30 days? You know? I said, I didn't choose the days. It's the planet. It said, the planet says 45 days, and that's what I'm going to do, 45 days. Right? No meat, no fish, no egg, 45 days. Right? Oh, Swami, can I do 15? There's no planet for 15. Okay. So, if you time your life according to the planets, you can never go wrong. Right? So that's why in Hinduism we pray to the planets. And the reason why we pray to the planets is because, why we pray to the planets? Not because we're crazy about making the planet a god, as the Westerners would say, right? It's because we know certain words that will make the planet come back as a timely method in our life. So our mind really controls the universe. We control everything around us. Mind over matter. So if you can control that energy around you with your mind and your words, then you're controlling the wind, you control the atoms, you can control the electrons and the protons and everything around you. So it's all vibrating with the mantra. So now we're going to pray to the mantras of the planets. We have installed certain mantras that are very specific to the planet. No. Now if I say Angela, nobody else would look at me but Angela. If I say Elizabeth, nobody will look at me but Elizabeth. Right? Or if I say Jenny, there's no other Jenny here. So now, the name that you have is unique to you. So also the mantras of the planets are unique to the planets. So each planet have their own name. For example, the sun is known as Surya. That is the name of the sun, Surya. And we just didn't give the name Surya just because we feel like okay, we're going to name this product, in the company. No, Surya has great meaning. Right? Su, which means powerful, right? Ra, think of the word radiant. Ra, right? Surya, Ya means omnipresent. So it's just not a name, right? It's like, if we say namaskar, but if we say hello, hello is just a word. But namaskar means that we bow to the God inside of you. Everyone should believe in destiny and astrology, in the sense of Vedic astrology. or deep astrology. Why? I'll tell you why. Because it takes away a lot of war, a lot of judgment, a lot of distrust and everything. I'll tell you why. Let's say your son or your daughter come to you and says, I'm gay. And that's the worst thing, of course, you want it. Because you've been trained by society that this is wrong. Of course, it's not normal. And you throw a fit. And he says, I am going to kill you if you don't change. Or I am going to throw you out of the house if you don't change. And right away, you make this judgment. But if you knew astrology, or if you knew the Vedic code, you would say, okay, there's something about destiny in this. And you will not chastise the person immediately. Because you may chastise them, they have disagreement, you walk out of the house, you'll be suffering loneliness, things like that. Instead, you know the astrology, you know Jyotish. And you say, okay, let me take a look why. So I'll go to see my guru, my astrologer and everything, and I'll say, my son or my daughter says that she's gay and I have trouble with this. Right away, we will look back at your life. We will show that in your past life or in your life before, that these desires came up in your life, or these experiences came up. That at one time in your life, you preferred someone of the same sex. Or you might be in contact with, or you might criticize someone. If you criticize somebody, you get back the same thing. Like you say, okay, I hate gays. Guess what's going to happen? Yeah, the children are going to become gay. Or I hate blacks. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to marry black. So you can't hate. The very thing you hate is the very thing becomes karma later. So here is where Vedic astrology comes in. That you have to accept the person, accept the people first, and then find out what's the cause of it. And once you find out what's the cause of it, you can cure the problem. But today we are so judgmental. We judge the people right away. Oh, I don't like that person. I don't like this person. That's not the way. But that's the basis, the debasing of mankind. That's where mankind have lost the knowledge. Right? And in one of our stories, I'm going to tell you quickly, because we don't have much time to tell stories today, but there was this king, a long time ago, if you read the Bhagavad Gita, you would know the story, but this king stole three women, kidnapped three princesses to marry to his three sons. But one of the sons refused the princess. And the princess had already been betrothed to someone else. She was supposed to marry some other prince. And when she went back, the prince said, okay, you already went with this prince, I cannot take you. So she swore revenge to destroy this prince. And so what happened now is that she went to a guru. The guru taught her how to fight a war and so on. But then she died. And in the next life, women were not allowed in the battlefield. So in the next life, she was born as a man. Half man, half woman. And she was able to fulfill her purpose of killing the prince in the battlefield. In the next life. So here's a past life story of why a person became gay. So astrology, Vedic astrology can explain that. Jyotish can explain all this. So there will be no hate in the world if we understood our life perfectly, and then we work our life out a smoother way. Right? So such is the greatness of being an astrologer or having the knowledge of astrology.